So, today we're going to talk about anxiety because this is something that's very prominent in my life. It's overwhelming and overbearing, and sometimes it's very frustrating. It doesn't make sense, and to anyone who doesn't deal with anxiety or doesn't understand it, it's not going to make sense. I'm going to be very upfront with you right now. Anything that I'm going to tell you in this video, it's still probably not going to make sense, but there's no way to rationalize it. And I think that's the most frustrating part, is that I literally cannot rationalize it. And I understand that a lot of these things are going to sound crazy and irrational and absolutely just unreasonable, and like I shouldn't let these things get to me. And that's kind of the point of anxiety. I have always dealt with anxiety. I just wasn't aware of it for a really long time. And I didn't know why, but in high school and even in my youth, I was really, I would say I felt out of place a lot. And anybody that knew me back then, I mean, I think you could say that. I was really, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've changed so much into my adulthood, but when I was younger, I was very loud and outgoing, and I would strongly use the word annoying. And I had to be the center of attention, and I was this and I was that, and I was always trying to compensate and fit in for things. And there was a lot of times where I was stressed out because I could tell that people were not enjoying me. But most of the time, I just didn't really care. I did it anyway. But I dealt a lot with really tight chest pains, and the heart just, it was really bad. It was kind of hard to breathe sometimes, and I just didn't know. I had no idea. And when I got into college, everything was kind of overwhelming, and I had found out, I found out in high school, but I had found out that my mom had cancer. And it was at like stage 4, and then it was gone, and then it was back, and there was a lot going on. I was in a toxic relationship, I would say. I think it was, just looking back on it, just two kids who didn't know anything about anything. I'm not going to get into that, but it did cause a lot of stress on me, and that was when I started having a lot of anxiety attacks, and I didn't know what was going on. And there was an entire week where my throat just kind of closed up and I couldn't breathe. It was like I could breathe, but it was really hard. So I don't know how to explain it, but it was just, yeah. And so my mom ended up taking me to the emergency room. And that was when the doctor told me that I had severe anxiety. He was kind of surprised that I hadn't known before that I had anxiety, much less that I had severe anxiety. So in 2012, I was diagnosed with severe anxiety. And the more changes that occur, the harder that it kind of hit me. And there was a lot going on in college, and I wasn't a confident person after that relationship, and I made some not so great choices, and I behaved awfully towards people, and I was mean because it made me feel better about myself, and I don't know, there was a lot. And the older that I got, the more I realized it. I used to be out partying all the time, and it was really bad, and there was a point in time where I was drinking every single day, and there was a time when I blacked out and ended up throwing up blood, and that was when it kind of hit me, like, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Granted, I had just turned 21, so I was kind of going a little wild, and yeah, but anyway, so I cut back on a lot of that, and when I really removed myself from the party scene and the people that I was hanging out with, I realized that it was a very toxic environment. And I made the hard decisions that had to be made because I just wasn't myself. And I was just kind of trying to fit in. And the reason that I bring this up is because today, the person that I am is very different than the person that I was then. Going out doesn't happen very often anymore. I mean, I go out, obviously, here and there, if my coworkers invite me or if there's a concert. But for the most part, I mean, I'm not out as frequently as I used to be. And there's a reason for that. One, because it wasn't going to benefit me, but also because my anxiety and my social anxiety have gone through the roof the older that I get. And I've tried learning different ways to cope with it, and it's very hard. And it's very overwhelming. And it's very frustrating because you could be having the best time with your friends or with coworkers, and you can be in the best mood possible, and out of nowhere, something in your brain just clicks. No one has to say anything. No one has to do anything. Nothing has to happen. And your brain just kind of goes from these people enjoy being around you and hanging out with you to you're annoying them, they don't want you here, they're just being nice. And this is something that happens quite often. Any interaction that I have with another human being is pretty much this is what's going through my head. It's really hard to explain to other people because people who do understand it, you know, obviously is we get it. It just doesn't make sense. Like, why are you upset? I don't know. Why are you crying? I don't know. And it can just happen out of nowhere. Like, I can be at work and I can be fine, and the next moment there's too much music playing or too many screams and banging on desks and loud noises. And if I go to the bathroom, the loud, you know, slam of the doors, and it's so many things at once. And I stress. I just immediately panic and I don't know what to do. And I will literally just freak out. And it's not because I'm upset about my job. It's not because, you know, I'm upset about anything else that happened that day. It literally just happens. And I feel like at the moment I'm very lucky to be surrounded by people who do understand, or at least are trying their best to understand. But it's very hard when you do come across people who don't get it. And I understand they don't deal with it. And if you haven't dealt with it in your life, it is very hard to understand. I'm not nervous. It's not something I can just get over. It's it doesn't make sense. But there are days where I see other people and I see them interacting with their friends, and I get overwhelmed and emotional because this impacts every aspect of my life. The way that I interact with coworkers and friends and family and in relationships, and I try my best not to let it, because I know that it, in the end, doesn't make sense, and that it's just in my head. And sometimes I just have to sit in silence, and I'm happier on my own. And it's easier that way sometimes, and that's really unfortunate because I don't want to live that way. So it is really hard to see people with their friends and interacting and have fun and having fun. Because this does affect every single part of my life, and I want to feel like I'm benefiting someone else's life than just my own. But it doesn't always feel like that. And I don't know. It's really hard. And it's frustrating and it's overwhelming. And a few of the things that I cannot stand to hear, and I don't think anyone with anxiety can stand to hear. One, calm down. You're being over dramatic. Like, calm down. I'm aware that what's happening doesn't make sense. I'm aware that it's irrational. I can't calm down, and you telling me to calm down is not going to make me calm down. 10 out of 10 times, it's going to make it worse. And you just sound rude. The one thing I cannot stand hearing, and I understand it comes from a good place, and I hear it all the time from everyone, not just my parents, but also just people in general that I talk to about anxiety. You should go see the doctor. Go to the doctor. Have you talked to a doctor? I understand that you're coming from a good place with that, but what you're saying is go see a doctor. What my brain is interpreting that as is, I don't have enough time for your issues. I don't care enough about it. Go see someone that's going to fix you. I'm not broken. I don't need fixing. I have a disorder or whatever of sorts, and I don't know what it's officially classified as. I probably should, but anyway. I'm not someone who's broken and needs to be fixed. I am learning every day how to cope with this a little bit better, and I understand that it comes from a good place. I do. But in the moment, that's like telling me you're being crazy and you need to be put on pills to fix it. And that sucks. Another thing that I absolutely cannot stand to be told is get over it. Like, you don't have control over it. Get over it. So the thing about that is that's kind of why I have anxiety, is because I don't have control over it and I can't control the outcome. If I feel like I've lost control or like something is chaotic or hectic, or sometimes I don't even need to feel anything about anything at all. Sometimes my body is just like, oh, you're good? Nope, just kidding. Time to freak out. Let's go. And I can't stand that. I can't. It's not something I can just get over. I don't have an exact reason why. And I know that sometimes people just genuinely don't understand. And so when they ask, well, why are you upset? Why are you crying? Why do you feel anxious? Sometimes I don't have an answer for you. I don't even know. And that upsets me as well. And it frustrates me even more because I don't have an answer to give you. And I know that you're frustrated because it doesn't make sense as to why I'm upset. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that happens in the brain. Sometimes it's just there's too many people, or I am in a chaotic situation. But sometimes there's no reason at all. Sometimes I'm having the best time of my life and I am surrounded by amazing people and I'm having a great time, and then something just switches in my brain and then I'm not. So there's that. I was actually dating a guy, I think it was 2 years ago. Time's gone by really fast, but I want to say it was 2 years ago. And we took a trip to San Antonio. And we went for St. Patrick's Day. And I was really excited because I was going to go downtown and we were going to have a good time and we were going to go bar hopping and it was going to be great. And we went downtown and it was fun. And I was sober and there were a lot of people. And then it wasn't fun. And then there were too many people and there were too many noises and I couldn't move and then I couldn't breathe. And then I had to run outside and I had an anxiety attack in the middle of a crowded street downtown San Antonio. And everyone thought that I was drunk and having like a bad, I guess, reaction to it, or I just couldn't handle my alcohol, but that was very much not the case. And I was sober and I was hyperventilating and I was crying. And God bless that guy that was with me. He knows who he is. He was understanding and patient about it. And we got an Uber or a Lyft or something like that back to our hotel. And even the driver thought that I was drunk. But that was not the case. And he took very good care of me and it was very sweet. And I very much appreciate that. I'm not sure if he watches these videos, but if he does, thank you. I appreciate it. And things like that happen quite often. And it's very strange because it's random. Because there's times where I can go to concerts and I can go to events and I'm fine. And then there's other times where I go to a concert or I go to an event and it's just too much. Or I'm at work and it's just too much. Or I'm in public and it's just too much. So the thing that I'm trying to get across here is anxiety is unpredictable. I don't understand it. I don't know if anyone does. I'm learning how to cope with it. I am trying my very best to not let this completely take over my life because I have changed as a person. My habits have changed, and not solely because of the anxiety. Has this been on my eye? Or is that a shadow? Oh, that might be a shadow. Whoops, Nicole. But if there's one thing that I want people who don't deal with anxiety to understand, it's that we understand that you're frustrated. We understand that you don't understand what we're going through and that probably frustrates you more. We understand that this doesn't make sense to you and that even if I try my best to, it's still probably not going to make sense to you. But please, please, please know that anything that you're feeling, we feel that 30 times worse, amplified. And we know that it's not convenient, and we know that it's not fun to have to deal with someone who has anxiety or to have to help someone who has anxiety. We know that it can ruin a mood and that it can kill a vibe or a fun evening. And we know that sometimes it's a burden, and we feel that. And I think that's the worst part. And I've seen a lot of people talking about their anxiety, and it's something that I've felt more and more pressed to talk about lately, and I just needed to do it. Because for me, anyone who knows me or who's known me since I was younger, who knew me more when I was younger and not so much into adulthood, they've all known different parts of me. And when I was younger, anyone who grew up with me and went to high school with me or elementary school with me, they know that I was very loud and outgoing and I seemed fearless and I would approach people and I would walk up to anybody and say hello, and that was me. And in college, I got even better with that, right? I made friends. I mean, honestly, they were all just acquaintances. I didn't really know anybody deeper than let's all go out drinking. And I think once I identified that, the adulthood part of me became a little bit more of an introvert, and now the idea of having to interact with large groups of people is overwhelming and it's terrifying, and I avoid it a lot of the time. Sometimes I'm super up for it and I'm like, hey, let's go do this or let's do that. And when I invite people to do something, or if I reach out to someone, or if I engage in a conversation, please know that that took a lot out of me. And I know it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Normal people should just be able to interact with each other. But with anxiety and with social anxiety, it doesn't always work that way. And just saying hello feels like you're already bothering someone, and it's scary to have to invite people somewhere, or to have to, wonder, like, are they going to invite me to this or not? Like, if they do they even want me there? And there's a lot of things. And I'm always happy to answer, questions about anxiety. I mean, I don't know it all, obviously. Again, everybody experiences it differently. This is just my experience with anxiety. I cannot speak for every single person. Everyone experiences it differently. Everyone reacts differently. And just please know that we're trying, and please be patient with us. It's not easy for us. It's not. And by no means do I want anyone to think that we're a victim of anything. And I don't want anyone to give us any sort of special treatment. I just want us to be respected as well, versus getting these looks like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? I see that. We see that. We know what you're doing. We catch on to your looks. We catch on to your tone. We know. It's not fun. Don't do it. Please, just don't do it. I don't know. I'm just hoping I can get better with it, and I'm trying every single day. And there's days recently where it's hit me really, really hard, and that's also why I haven't been filming, and I haven't felt inspired. I haven't felt like I wanted to get in front of a camera. And I don't know how much editing I'm going to be doing in this video. I may just let it run full through. I may edit out a few mistakes. Who knows? I don't. But this is something that's very important, and it's not going to be pristine, and it's not going to be polished, because that's just not how it works. And I'm just trying to be as honest as possible, and it is very hard for me to do this. Opening up to people in general has never been something that I personally have been very good at. And so to put a video like this on the internet at my most vulnerable is a very hard decision to make. But for me, it's almost freeing. And I know that there's going to be people who, not even just my video, but anyone, I mean, when you put yourself on the internet, you're open to opinions, and you are open to hate, and you are open to criticism, and that is something that I am fully aware of. But I created this channel because I want to be able to make things that I'm passionate about and things that are important to me, and I've been stressing so much as well about the content that I'm putting out and how to put it out, and I sometimes am not the best at explaining things. And I know, like, if I'm going to create a YouTube channel to literally explain things to people, I probably should be good at it. But at this point, I don't care. I'm going to put out what content makes me happy, and I'm going to stop worrying so much about what other people think and what they want to see. And I mean, I do care about what you guys want to see, but this is ultimately for me. And if I can help anybody possibly going through the same thing, or not being able to know where to go from here, I mean, that's really why I did this, and that's really why I made this video and why I made this channel. My anxiety took me away from socialization a lot of the time. And when I'm upset or when I am feeling alone, I hop on YouTube and I watch my favorite YouTubers, and I watch Loey Lane, and I watch Daz Games and Daz Black, and I watch, Shane Dawson and Joey Graceffa, Mac Does It, and I watch people who put out content that makes me happy, and I watch things, like Samara Redway and Typical Gamer, Andre. Like, I watch them. Like, I watch gaming videos or funny videos or, unsolved mysteries or anything, literally, because it takes you into a whole nother world. And sometimes that's better, if that makes sense. And I'm sure that there's plenty of people who do that. So if I can do that for anyone, that would be great. This lighting is going to kill me. I swear it. But yeah, I just, this isn't for attention. I know there's going to be that person. And with anxiety, please know they're not doing it for attention. Believe me, the last thing we want is all eyes on us for that. It's not for attention. It's not because we're being over dramatic. It's not because of anything that you can possibly throw at us. Like, we don't know why. We don't get it. We're not excited about it, trust me. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So if anyone has anything that they need to talk to someone about, or if, I don't know, if you need to reach out to someone, I'm always here. I know what it feels like when you feel like you don't have anyone to go to. I mean, you have friends, you have family, but you just don't want to burden anybody with it. That's really all it is. And I think that's the most lonely part about it, is you don't want to be a burden and you shut yourself out and you're by yourself. It's not good. So I know this is kind of a long video. I think it deserves the time. I mean, at least for me. Yeah. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. And I'll probably mention it in other videos along the way. And that'll be fine, because that's me and that's a part of me and I'm not ashamed of it. And we're just going to learn how to overcome it and how to deal with it. So if any of you can relate to this, or if maybe this helped you guys, or maybe it made you feel like you're not alone, I hope that it did. And please know that you're not alone and that someone does care about you, even when it doesn't feel like it. So I will see you guys. Oh, that lighting. I will see you guys in the next video. I know this probably wasn't the most upbeat video, but it's okay. There will be more. And yeah. Thanks so much for watching. If you want, please go ahead and subscribe. Like, comment, whatever. Let me know, if you feel like you can relate to this. There's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah. Bye.